We would like to welcome you on our webinar, which is named Dialogue Reflection School Practice. This is an international webinar, but please notice that we are not native speakers, so we'll be speaking in our Polish-English language, let's say.
And we hope that you all understand us. We are meeting here in the frame of this project, challenging
philosophy for challenging extremism, which is conducted with the partnership with Poland, Sweden, UK, and Hungary. You will also have a chance to meet our partners and people working with us in this project during this webinar. What is also worth to notice that this webinar is the result of the cooperation between the Institute of Global Responsibility, which I'm a representative, and also the Anti-Discrimination Education Association in Poland, which Ella represents today. We kindly asked you to come today for our webinar, for the evening webinar, to say you a few words about the community of inquiry, a bit of theory for sure.
A little bit of combining philosophical methods with anti-discrimination education and challenging radicalization and extremism. We will say some few words about some educational materials that are available online and that you will be able to see and read and use in your everyday practice.
We'll also have some great inputs from practitioners, from the people that working with the dialogue, with the philosophical methods. It will be Aniko from Hungary, Zosia from Lublin, from Poland, Richard from UK, and Malin and Maya from Sweden. You will also have a chance continuously to ask some questions or comment in the chat. Ella will be following the chat on our second computer next to, and she will be also taking all the questions and comments to the presenters. And if you would like to also share something, please do it. Of course, we'll have some small task for you. And also feel free to interrupt us, because this is not the really official and formal lecture. This is more like chatting with you in the evening to share with you some of our practices and also to exchange with you some knowledge and skills. First of all, we would like to pose a question to you.
Yes, and the question is, which kind of methods you use in your classroom or during your workshops or trainings that you conduct when working in the area of global and anti-discrimination education, counteracting radicalism or extremism? And please write your answers in the chat window, and we are waiting for all your answers.
I can see some partners from our project, so probably they will start typing about the P4CE, but of course all other methods are welcome.
There are. So we have first answers: P4CE, drama, theater in education, some case studies. Anyone else? There are some people typing, waiting for some more answers. I have to be so close, but then I cannot read. So last few seconds for answers. P4CE again. Then Matthias, I'm using active learning methods to involve the students. Thank you.
Yeah, all the participatory and active learning, it's always in favor for this kind of practice, like global and anti-discrimination education.
P4CE?
Yeah, I told that actually we've got really good representatives from our project, so they start already typing about P4C. Digital storytelling, thank you.
Great. And I think one more person is typing, so waiting last seconds. And
No.
no.
Okay, so moving to what we understand as a philosophical methods, what we are thinking about once we would like to introduce it to you, it's of course the community of inquiry, but not only, because we as trainers and educators, we are using also open spaces for dialogue and inquiry and inclusive facilitation, which is rooted in deep democracy and co-resolve. We are speaking about it because we've got quite long practice with being trainers, with delivering some non-formal and informal education also to the formal education structures. And we would like to share with you our ideas, how we are using the philosophy, the community of inquiry to work with the topics that we are working since like
will be like few years.
Many years, more like 10 or so. So we would like to also go briefly through the method, but also make some comments based on our experience. First of all, short
introduction, or maybe just to make it clear how do we understand the inquiry and what are the phases of this philosophical inquiry. As you see on this picture, we start with warming up to make students ready for the activity. Then we present the stimulus and let people think about the stimulus and what kind of questions they might have to this stimulus. The stimulus might be a movie or piece of music or a picture or video clip or something that will, how to say, focus our students on the stimulus, and that is that will help us to discuss what we want to discuss. So after thinking, they have time for creating. Oh, I see that I forgot one letter here. So creating questions. And then presenting questions on plenary, so to all people that are taking part in the activity. Then all people have time for choosing the question, voting for one they want to discuss during the inquiry, during the discussion, and the time for discussion comes. So people have time to reflect and say what they think and what they want to say. When the discussion gets over, let's say, there is still time for some last voices. So the trainer or the teacher still asks if there are some last voices that people want to bring on plenary, and then we sum up the whole activity, the whole inquiry.
Yeah, this is the step that probably you are familiar with, but the most important in the philosophical method, in the community of inquiries, it's just to ask questions, just think about questions, and questions became more important in this method than finding a proper answer, than giving the proper exact answer, that finishing with the let's say the dot at the end rather than the question mark.
Yes, and some, let's say, crucial elements of the method that you also probably know. So there are these 4 C's that are so important. So communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. So when we talk about communication, this is the chance for people to learn how to talk to each other, what does it mean culture of discussion, broadening the pool of words they might use, and becoming more sensitive for that what other people are saying. When we talk about collaboration, that will be, for example, that everyone has space in this discussion, in this conversation, that we take responsibility for the process, that we care also for the others. And no one is being attacked, which is something really important here. Creativity. So here we can come up on some ideas that we have never thought about before. We are open for these new ideas and for broadening our vision of the theme that we are discussing. And critical thinking. So will be about critically analyzing what other people are saying, using and thinking of some new arguments and counter arguments that we can use, and creating readiness for changing the way of thinking. Yes, noticing this broader perspective that comes up with the voices of other people in the group.
Yeah, you can see on this on the photo next to those four crucial elements of the method, the group of teachers that trying to practice the community of inquiry with using sticks. That actually means how many times they could enter into discussion, and it was also really important for them to have this experience to be in this discussion before they will start practicing with their students. Because actually this method changed a lot the way how the communication looks like. Because usually once we're thinking about the communication at school, we've got the teacher in the center, and then we've got the relation with students, teacher, students. This is more like this traditional way of thinking, but still very common in many schools, in Polish schools, but not only.
Yeah.
Then what we would like to do once we are introducing the dialogue, the discussion, we'll try to make this scheme a little bit different. The way of communication are changing. There's many more interactions there. You can also see it on this picture how it changed. Still, the teacher somehow gives the voice, gives the place, and he or she is somehow connected with with almost all the relations that are coming from the group. And actually, probably the quite idealistic model, but still worth to mention that sometimes at the very end of the process, once you're working with the group for many times and some years or some months, you could also reach the moment when teacher, it's more like the guide, but not so much influencing on the way of communication inside the group. And this is also easy to see on this picture. And why actually we are thinking about philosophical aspect of the dialogue, and why we are thinking about it, and why we are introducing it. On one hand, of course, it's linked with ancient Greek and with all this idea of democracy and having a place and having a time to discuss different things, but also to put some problems, to put some ideas more broader to the different perspective, to make it more abstract, to use certain situation or examples to think about something, let's say, bigger, more like big big ideas. And also, thanks to using this kind of big ideas or big concepts, you're not that much attached to your feelings, to the ideas that you start with, and this is also easier to discuss something that you disagree or that you don't want to that you would like to intervene.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Yeah, because this is quite spontaneous. So from time to time, we're looking at each other and just want to know if that's all. Now the question to you, because some of you already say in the chat box that you are using P4CE or you take part in P4CE sessions. Please just share with us if some of you took part, how it went, if someone you moderated. I know that there are some moderators who already tried to work with the method. Please share with us how it went and do you like it? Maybe not only if you take part or not, but if you like it.
We already have 2 answers of, as I understand, taking part in P4CE sessions. But there are some new coming as well. We'll wait for a while. Okay, so I'm planning one for tomorrow, one session, as I understand, and this is from Balos, and I have led and participated, Pablo. Thank you.
And what about others?
Anyone?
We've got like 16 people here, so maybe someone else would like to share.
Oh yes, there is coming some more answer. Participated, Katerina participated in a P4CE.
Okay, so this is on one hand very important to participate even before you start start moderating, to start facilitating, because this is also this kind of experience that you could think through how to make it, but also feel what others feel once it's happening. What now I would like to show you, it's more like the link between the philosophical methods and community of inquiry with the topics that we are working on. And this is...
Yeah, so philosophical methods in challenging discrimination. So this is let's say my field as anti-discrimination trainer, which I work a lot with anti-discrimination education, and what I define as helping here in my work is that philosophy, let's say, gives a safe space to hear the opinions of students, a safe space for everyone to say what they need to say and what requires to be said at some point. So they can share their vision of the world and their thoughts and opinions. Then the second thing is when we are not, aiming in reaching a consensus, the discussion becomes less confrontational. Yeah. So when we know that the aim is not the consensus between us, then we are not fighting so much for this, what we are saying. Yes, that people are then more open for listening to others and taking into consideration what other people are saying. Philosophy also changes the dynamics of the learning process. So this is not like that there is only a teacher teaching. There are also other people that I can learn from. So other students are other participants of the of the discussion, of the workshop, of the lesson, and so we are learning from each other, which is very important. Also, when we talk about non-formal education, which we try to to do in our work in anti-discrimination education. Philosophy gives also more democratic space to all of us. So there is space for everyone in the discussion. There is space for everyone in the whole process, and everyone's voice is heard. And the last thing, the change of teacher's position. Yes, this is a little bit what you have seen on these pictures a while before. Yes, that the teacher here is not only facilitating the process. The teacher is not teaching in this traditional sense of teaching. Yes, so teacher is taking care that everyone feels okay, and that the process is well facilitating, but the students or the participants, they take the responsibility for the space here.
Yeah, we can also add here this part of the method which is linked with the wisdom of the group.
Yes.
That actually, even if something difficult appeared in the group, you can also share it with the group and ask the group what they think, how they can answer on that. This is also the place that you could count not only on your reflection and your immediate reaction, but also share this responsibility with your students, with the group. What is also important once we are thinking about the philosophical methods, it's the link with challenging radicalization, challenging extreme opinions, extreme voices, radical voices, and actually this method for the first level, let's say, at the beginning, it's really showing you and emphasize the diversity as a value, and diversity of voices or of ideas, of opinions as something that really matter. And this is one of the most important things once you are starting work with this method, that you can easily show that this is the first purpose of this kind of discussion. And even though those differences could be bigger, could be smaller, but still there is this tendency that you can see the difference and also see the shades of gray. And also, what is really important is that you are not judging, you are not assessing the opinions, you are not assessing the answers. You are give them the equal right to be in the discussion, even if they are maybe not in favor for you or for some of the people, but still you can question them, you can bring them, but you can question them, and also you can ask what are the reasoning, which is really important, because usually you can hear really tough or hard opinions, but once you start questioning them and when you start discussing with them and asking about the reasoning, still there's much more open space for the discussion, dialogue, and maybe changing mind at the very end. Also, what I've already heard about the wisdom of the group, this is also here very important, because you are not confronting your students or your participants saying, sorry, you don't have right to say it, you are not the person that should bring this kind of opinion, but more like you are appealing to the wisdom of the group and you are questioning this kind of, let's say, radical or extreme idea, but not that much in a way that you are saying, no, this is not allowed to do it. So this is also very important thing. And also going deeper in the problem and posing analyzing questions to make it really in a way that actually the person who puts some judgments, who puts some opinion in the discussion could really verify them and also think why I'm thinking about it, what is my reasoning to think about it. During this webinar, we are doing it really fast because we've got also great speakers coming in a moment. But if you would like to know something more, here is our brand new educational material, Philosophy for Challenging Extremism Toolkit, which is available under the link on the Liverpool World Centre in English. And I feel like this week maybe, or at the beginning of next week, it will be also in Polish. Not sure how it is with Hungarian, because I know that there will be also Hungarian version. So you can have a look on the toolkit and also use it. There's a lot of comments and reflection, but also a lot of short exercises, ideas how to use the community of inquiry during your educational activities. So feel free to use it and feel free to share it with the people that could be interested.
And there is one more, source of information that we can recommend. This is the online course developed in the frame of Intercup project that my association is taking part in, and also some of you know this project. So Intercup project produced this online course, and module 3 is all about communities of philosophical inquiry, where all the information how to conduct the inquiry and all the theoretical background and some examples and some exercises are included. So we strongly recommend you the website. There are also some other modules which might also be interesting for you, but just to enter the website and register to the course, and it's free to use.
Yeah, but we are speaking a lot about the dialogue, but actually we are just making the monologue to you. So now we would like to ask practitioners, great people that can easily say a few words about their practice with the community of inquiry. And first, we would like to ask Aniko from Interenet School from Hungary, from Budapest. Yeah, we can see you and hear you.
Okay. Hey. Can you hear me? Ooh. Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, not sure what happened, but we've lost Aniko.
Put some headphones.
Can you hear me now?
Aniko? Now we cannot hear you, I guess. Aniko?
I'm here. It's just very weird. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Matthias said that sounds a bit like an alien, but maybe that's fine.
Oh. So it sounds really weird now. So my name is Aniko, and I'm a teacher in Budapest. I teach in a big school. We have
There is a huge echo there.
Yes, there is.
Maybe you can make your voice a little bit voice down.
Yeah.
Not the mic, but the how do you say this in English?
It doesn't change.
Yes, and now?
Now it's the same. Okay.
Okay, so do you want to try?
Yeah, later can I try that?
Okay, so please switch on and then we move to Zosia.
Okay.
Sorry, but as it's live, always some things could happen. Zosia, can we start with you? Hello, hello.
Zosia, are you here?
Okay, I'm not sure if we lost Zosia or something.
She writes that she's here, but I only see you and hear you.
Okay, as we can see, we've got some issue with entering people to the mic. Zosia. Okay, so let's just wait a sec. Maybe we will use another Zosia here. Zosia?
Hi.
Perfect.
Wow. So you've introduced all these great speakers, and I got to eliminate the first one, so I remain the only great speaker at site right now. Great. Hello, everyone from Planet Poland and Lublin. Nice to see you all again. Are you there?
There, but we mute our mic, so now you're alone and the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. The floor is mine. Great. So let me just say a few words about me, though you probably know me as famous me. But I'm pretty new to the method. I've used it a couple of times last year when I had a grade 8 students. So they were like age 15. Because I was not a leading teacher, I could use the method mainly during my English class. And because they were strong students, their English competence allowed that, I could actually do philosophy with them in English, which made the parents happy that they didn't lose their English class, and they got a chance to practice their English as well as their brain skills, philosophy, and so on. So this is my experience. I must say I would say I'm a beginner in the method, so I'm not going to speak as an expert, but just as someone who tried it and loved it. So when Marta said, "Oh, just talk a little bit about the advantages or disadvantages of the method," when I actually tried to make a list of points I would like to mention, I noticed that I saw mostly advantages. So let me talk about these first. From the perspective of a teacher, what was really challenging for me and turned out to be great was just the fact that I had to welcome the idea of letting the class out of my hands. Usually, like in the pictures in the slides that you showed, I'm the director of the class and I love it. I love to be in charge and steer the minds of my students and tell them, what to do. But in case of P4CE, I had to let go. I had to, let the floor be there for that hour. And that was a major challenge for me, especially because I scanned my students and decided this one is a freak, this one is going to take the discussion into the bushes, and it's not, it's going to be crazy. But actually, it allowed me to learn a lot about my students. I focus on their English competence. I have to see the growth. I have to see them progress in their English and give them grades. Whereas in using the philosophy class, which they demanded, by the way, they loved it so much that they asked when will the philosophy class be next time. I learned that they are human beings with their opinions about different things. It actually turned out that by doing philosophy in my English class, I gave them some space for coming out of the box. Not only I was in a different position as a teacher because I was no longer directing, I was just listening to them, facilitating, overseeing the whole discussion. But basically, I was a spectator. And I could see that my students also showed themselves in a completely new light. What I loved about philosophy was that students had the freedom. The ones who were talkative, they had the freedom to talk and express their thoughts. But those who were quiet, they also had the freedom to remain quiet on the issues that they felt uncomfortable or not interested or not feeling like saying anything. So that's very unusual in a school to give that space to students. They, in actually doing P4CE class and doing a discussion based on a stimulus, they were learning how to refer to one another. We made sure at the end of the discussion that we talked about things like, did we actually refer to someone before me said? Or did we just proclaim our standpoint of view, made a declaration of what we think is right in a discussion? Or did we actually talk about what a person before me said, and I want to add something or disagree or agree? So that was very important, that they were learning how to talk in a civilized way, how to listen to one another. And I love the idea that I didn't have to judge it. I didn't have to give them grades because it wasn't about assessing their competence, whether in their grade mindset or in their English. It was just about me letting them doing the class. Of course, I had my fears as to where the discussion would go to. Because once I gave the stimulus material and they were voting on the questions, even though I wish I could suggest the best question that seemed to me very reasonable and so deep, they made their own choices. And that's what they loved it. And that's what they were learning too, that I follow what the majority decides and I try to participate. I also like the idea that I myself had to search for some material to work with. What should I give my students to? What would be a valid topic? And I had to do some research myself for the stimulus material, and that turned out to be quite inspiring to me as well, which I loved about the method. I tried to use the sticks so that students could to try to kind of have some power over what people said. I mean, how many sentences or how many voices that they could raise in a discussion, but actually it became a trade. Those who were very talkative, they wanted more sticks. So they were saying, you know, who's going to give me their sticks? And people who were quiet, they were very happy to trade their sticks to those who were very talkative. Another experience that I had with P4CE was that I did not have to express my own opinions. And on some extreme issues, like when I used a material, the cartoon, The Heartbeat, hoping that we would go into discussion of homosexuality, I was very happy that I had the material, that they were doing the discussion, and I could only listen, because not only my students turned out to be very opinionated. I'm very opinionated too. It's not really something I would desire to talk about naturally, because my personal opinions on the topic would, you know, come out too strongly perhaps. While allowing the discussion, they could feel the freedom to talk about it. And it was very surprising to me that one of my students who has Asperger's disease, and as you know, they are not very open-minded people, but they have really fixed opinions about many things. Their opinions are, you know, as a tin of sardines that's closed, sealed, and that's it. And when we were discussing homosexuality, based on that stimulus material, he was very opposed and very aggressive in his opinions at first. But what happened was that his friend, his classmate, shared a story of his friend who is a homosexual and how he struggles, how they like each other, and he's trying to help him. And all of a sudden, by listening to his friend, his mind became a bit more flexible. After all, he said, well, I don't know, you know, now that I see your friend in a particular case, that changed his opinion, and that was quite an achievement and quite convincing for me that this is really a way to go, not to teach, not to proclaim, not to have sermons, but rather give some food for thought, as if. So, you know, another thing that I found was interesting, that for me, it was an escape from my routine, an escape from the routine for my students. We arranged the class differently. So the setting is different. I'm in a different role. They are in a different role. And all of a sudden, they find it so different, so relaxed. All of a sudden, they happen to talk to one another, be in the place with each other, which does not happen too often. Even when you go on a field trips, they're all hooked up to their phones, or there's a program to follow, and all of a sudden we sit in a circle and we talk. That's quite a change, and an enjoyable side, I must say, though it takes a few lessons for them to get used to it. That, okay, we are now doing philosophy, as they said, we are philosophizing. And I enjoy the class as an observer. I observe, escape from the routine. And another thing that I found useful is that I'm not only an English teacher, but I also lead a youth group in a church. And most of our youths are children of our church members. So they have been going to church for a long time. They've heard many sermons. They know their Bible well. But, you know, teenagers, they don't want to hear another sermon. And they actually said, we want to talk more. And so I stole the method that I used, that I learned and used in school to actually use it in a church, because I gave the kids the opportunity to actually talk about God, but not necessarily hear a sermon about him, what kind of God he is, but just ask some, you know, questions. And I found it working. They love it. They feel comfortable, and we don't lose none of the spiritual side that I would expect to, you know, to present to the youth. And now for my students, I hope you're timing me. As for the students, they like the freedom that I offer out of the whole day packed with just study, learn this plus this and that and grades. We sit down and we talk. Yeah? Oh, we sit down and we talk. They like to express their thoughts. They like the freedom that they have to talk because they are not judged, and we make sure the students are usually getting it, that the point is not to get to a conclusion, but to talk, that there is no right or wrong answer. And sometimes even the quiet students that every teacher wants to animate, push forward, and make them speak, they sometimes just cannot hold it, because the discussion gets so different from what they think they want to say, that they just burst and have to express their opinion. And I love it because you don't push them to it. And I think that it's a great, for me, I love it all the way. I think it helps them learn to be open-minded. I have good feedback from my students, from parents too, because it sounds great that they're doing philosophy. We want our school's vision is for students to be intelligent. And I think that
Thank you, Zosia. The time is running.
Intelligence. Thank you. All right, my lips are sealed. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Now we'll try get back to Aniko. I'm not sure, but as everything going, let's just try to make it. Aniko, can you hear us? Okay, we are not sure what's happening because Aniko, it's not answering.
On any chat, Messenger, Skype, anything.
So maybe we can try to switch to Richard if he's here. I'm not sure if something happened, but actually everyone already checked their mics and internet and it went fine. So the question is, Richard, are you here? Hello, hello. So then maybe we can move to Malin if Richard is not here or maybe disappeared somehow. Oh, I can see Malin, so it's perfect and we can hear you.
Yes, we're here. I'm ready.
Yes,
Please
we can start.
introduce yourself. Yes,
Yes.
introduce yourself, and we are just muting our mic now.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Malin Mattsson Flennegård. I teach comparative religion and Swedish in upper secondary school in Nyköping, Sweden. And right now I am a project leader in the so-called Tolerance Project.
Hello, my name is Maria Ulvenhag and I'm a social worker at the municipality of Nyköping.
And we will tell you some more about the Tolerance Project. You can find it in about 20 municipalities in Sweden. And we are going to focus on the concept of dialogue in a short while. But before that, we will tell you something more about the Tolerance Project. Okay. The Tolerance Project is a dynamic educational model for long-term social inclusion. And the aim is to create safe social spaces for young people. And to do this, it's essential that we have good interaction and dialogue between the social services and the school. And we place the youth in the center, and then we work together around the youth for the best of this youth. And we work with pupils who are in the secondary school in the 8th grade, and they are between 14 and 15 years old. And we are exploring role and identity in a positive social context. Deeper knowledge about human rights, and we reflect on consequences of intolerance and the conditions of democracy. The project is, of course, not mandatory. The pupils apply voluntarily, and we put together a very heterogeneous group with different students and pupils with different backgrounds and different reasons to why they want to join the project. We have 50 pupils per year in 2 groups, and we meet one whole school day twice a month from October until April. Okay, so the educational model, and this is of course no rocket science. It's very simple, but every part is essential for the whole. And every time we meet, we have an authentic narration, mainly from the context of the Holocaust, but also from closer history about real persons and real events that sets the theme of each day, each teaching day. For example, what is a human being? Who am I? Love and altruism, to exclude others. And this theme, we connect discussions, facts concerning history, social science, and religion. We always have quite a lot of different writing assignments, artistic expressions, oral presentations, and teamwork activities to make the students, the pupils feel safe, let them get to know each other, and of course, also having fun. And in the last part of the project, we go on an excursion journey to Holocaust memorial sites in Poland, and we will say something short about that in a short while. And the pedagogical approach, it is non-confrontational, but dialogue-based. It's about exploring the issues using questions, and we using what we call empathic curiosity, showing the pupils that we want to understand their point of view. And here you can show us your thoughts.
even though maybe they are what you could call intolerant, or they might be controversial. But let us explore them together, as long as they are not aiming to hurt others in the classroom. So a very open climate, open environment. And we are investigating and exploring the concept of identity. For example, why am I different here compared to when I'm with my friends? Or who do I want to be? Or how am I when I am the best version of myself? And in the Tolerance Project, we encourage the pupils to find the best version of themselves. And we also go on an excursion journey to Holocaust memorial sites in Poland. This journey is not the Tolerance Project, but it is a small but necessary part of the Tolerance Project. And we bring the narratives and the themes and the forms of education to Poland and make these sites our classroom during 6 to 8 days. The concept of a group is more important than ever when we are on this journey. And as you can see, the Tolerance Project uses dialogue in many different ways, and for the purpose to create motivation, build relations, develop cooperation and group dynamics, to explore identity and promote positive values and democracy. And some of the important effects of the Tolerance Project are significantly higher grades, knowledge and skills. And we can move to the next slide there. Their motivation increases, and we also have a higher number of pupils qualified for upper secondary school.
Since I work in such a close dialogue with the teachers and me as a social worker, we can easily find and confirm both problems that children or students or pupils are handling, or the families are into. It's not that unusual that we find the alcohol problem at the parents, or drug problems into the children. Also, psychological or mental unhealth is usually founded, or social anxiety disorders, domestic violence, including female mutilation, or social violent environment. Since I'm in the classroom all the time, it's a natural situation for the student to speak with me about their concerns. It's a kind of a dialogue. This kind of dialogue is not usual. It's quite unusual to have this as a dialogue with the student and the social worker. But in the Tolerance Project in the classroom, it's a fact. We have these kind of dialogues, and it's kind of good.
And to show you some of what happens during a typical Tolerance Project days along with the students, we will now show you a very short film where you meet some of the pupils, where you see something from our days and during the teaching days, and from our journey to memorial sites in Poland. So watch this film and then we say goodbye to you.
För mig handlar toleransprojektet om gemenskap.
Det är väldigt roligt.
1, 2,
3.
Börja om. 1, 2, börja om. Okej.
När jag började toleransprojektet var jag osäker på mig själv och att mina åsikter kanske sågs fel av de andra. Men efter TP och Polenresan så har jag blivit mer säker på mig själv och tycker att mina åsikter också gills och är rätt.
Toleransprojektet har hjälpt mig med att läsa. Jag som har dyslexi har svårt med läsning och skrivning. Men på toleransprojektet har vi skrivit så mycket så att jag har lärt mig att hantera lättare.
Det gör det egentligen.
Toleransprojektet har varit viktigt för mig för att jag har lärt mig kunskaper och jag vill att jag ska kunna sprida mina kunskaper. Och jag har blivit modigare och jag har litat på mig mer nu.
Det bästa med toleransprojektet är att man får lära känna nya människor och det hjälper en genom skolarbetet.
Trötta arm. Jag kollade runt för att försöka förstå vad som hände. Då såg jag en liten flicka med en stor väska där det stod ensamkommande barn.
Jag sökte till toleransprojektet för att jag har alltid haft jättesvårt att prata med folk och jag vill få lättare att prata med nya människor.
Toleransprojektet har gett mig vänner för livet.
Resan är helt fantastisk och väldigt lärorik.
Jag får hjälpa åt med knäet. På riktigt. Ja, ni är klara.
Jag sökte till toleransprojektet för att jag ville lära mig mer om judendomen och Auschwitz och hur Hitler mördade judarna och hur det var för judarna att bo där innan det där hände.
26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Jag ska räkna upp till 100 prick. 100 nationella katastrofer. Ja, men nu är du på siffrorna igen. Ja, vi ställer upp människorna.
Förut så tyckte jag att det var jätteläskigt att stå framför folk, men nu har jag kommit över det. När jag började här var jag väldigt osäker på mig själv. Jag visste inte riktigt vem jag var, men nu vet jag det lite mer.
Det är väldigt värt att gå här. Ja, man missar skolan men man lär sig saker som man inte kunde lära sig i skolan. Jag utvecklas genom att jag är mer självsäker i mig själv och vågar stå inför andra.
Här på toleransprojektet så lär de dig att hitta ditt inre rum. Genom vissa berättelser, genom händelser och mycket annat. Jag har hittat mitt inre rum.
Och han kommer. Men det är inte riktigt samma man. Han är ju lite böjd och han går mycket saktare och han stannar i mitten. Han är tyst en lång stund. Lite kutryggig och så höjer han upp blicken och de ser ju att han är lite fuktig i ögonen. Och vad är det? De har knappt vad han säger.
Jag sökte till toleransprojektet för att jag ville lära mig mer om andra kulturer.
Yes. So, thank you very much for listening to us. And please let us know if you have some questions. We are here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malin and Maria Maya. Thank you for your for introducing the Tolerance Project. Now we'll do our best to get back to Aniko, if it will be possible. Sorry, but still you can't never think about the electronic device as something that is proper. Now I mute my mic and I'm passing to Aniko, not to make this terrible noise.
Okay. It's still the same.
Unfortunately, Aniko, this is still the same with the noise. Not sure what's happening. Do you have headphones maybe? Aniko? You don't have headphones. Okay. So Yeah, probably this is a superpower, but we don't know what's happening because during the day everything went fine. Pity that we didn't have a chance to hear Aniko, and unfortunately Richard also disappeared somehow. Not sure what's happening, but we've also got the access to him, and then he disappeared. So maybe if you've got any questions to those people who are here, and so for Zofia, for me, for Malin, for Maya, for Ella, if you would like to ask any questions, please put them on the chat. If no, unfortunately, we'll finish without those two great people. Hopefully you will find at least Aniko case studies in the toolkit that I've recommended before. I will just jump into it for a second. So you will find also her stories and also some of her case studies there, and also with Koti, so done also with Koti, so you can have this Hungarian case, even though we couldn't hear that. Any more questions or any more comments to us, or you prefer to finish the evening and get some rest? Okay.
There are some great presentation from Martin. Thank you. And there are coming some sentences, definitely not questions.
Okay, so from our side, we would like to thank you very much for being with us during this evening. Sorry for the inconvenience with the electronic device, but you never know what's happening. Yeah, in Poland we've got the Teachers' Day, so we would like to wish all the teachers and educators all the best, and just a great evening, and hope to see you on another webinar or in any other time. Thank you so much, and stay in touch. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.